courageous, untroubled, mocking. That is how wisdom wants us. Wisdom is a woman and loves only a warrior. Imagine the Spartan hoplites in blazing armor, running at full speed towards the enemy, spear and shield in hand, muscles gleaming under the sun. Imagine the Vikings, massive blonde beasts, with waves breaking over the prows of their dragon ships, off to find glory and new lands. Imagine the medieval knights in their shining armor atop massive battle horses, clad in bright reds and greens, streaking like comets over the green fields. In Eschenbach's Parsifal, when young Parsifal sees a knight for the first time, he thinks he sees an angel. And indeed, these men must have seemed like supermen, demigods among mortals. It sometimes comes as a shock to me when I realize that such men really did exist, and could, perhaps again. The makings of such men might be among you, or among your sons and grandsons. When it seems that the lower types are winning, that all life is being poisoned and pulled down by the spirit of gravity, we can look to the ancient heroic cultures, the Greeks, the Vikings, the knights of Arthurian legend, so that we might revive their heroic values and attitudes in modernity. To understand ancient Greek heroic culture, we must look to the Iliad. The Achaeans are a collection of warrior kings and their armies laying siege to Troy. Achilles is one of these kings. He values loyalty and honor above all else. Achilles' divine rage is induced by the death of his friend Patroclus. After avenging Patroclus' death, even knowing that doing so will seal his own, Achilles promises Patroclus' ghost that their bones will be buried together. This is a man who honored brotherhood, loyalty, and glory above everything, even his own life. It was this kind of brotherhood which was integral for phalanx warfare and which allowed the Spartans to excel on the battlefield. To understand the values of the ancient Greeks, we can also look to the story of Hippocleides as recounted to us by Herodotus. Hippocleides was an Athenian nobleman who gathered with the other noblemen to compete for the hand of the daughter of King Cleisthenes. Such a competition, which was common in the Greek world, already shows us that the Greeks valued beauty, athleticism, and wit when considering marriage. Herodotus writes that Hippocleides was proving himself to be the best in the suitors' competitions, but during a feast he got drunk and began to dance on his hands to the flutes, exposing himself. To this, Cleisthenes said, "Son of Tysander, you have just danced away your marriage." But Hippocleides simply replied, "Hippocleides doesn't care," or literally, there is no care for Hippocleides. This incident perfectly illustrates what Nietzsche meant when he spoke of life in abundance. Hippocleides excels at the games and customs of the noblemen, but he is not confined by them like some stuffy aristocrat. He is careless and mocking, striving to be the best, yet unconcerned with petty gain. The Norse, like the Greeks, were a heroic, seafaring people with a thirst for adventure and glory. The Vikings were a caste of warrior noblemen. The Norse didn't send the common people to war, but rather the most noble, showing their willingness to sacrifice the best and strongest among them. This again is a sign of life in abundance. The Vikings shared a similar heroic ethic to the Greeks. They valued honor, freedom, loyalty, and beauty. But what stood out about the Vikings was their carelessness and humor in the face of death. In the Volsunga saga, Ragnar is captured by the English king Ela and thrown into a snake pit. Ragnar says to Ela, "The young pigs would squeal if they knew the state of the old boar." This is both a humorous remark and a threat about the vengeance of his sons, who indeed would return to avenge his death. And in the Krakumal, the supposed death song of Ragnar, His final words are, "Death is not to be feared. I wish to make an end. The Disir are welcoming me home. The ones Odin has sent me from Valhall. I shall gladly drink ale with the gods in the high seat. Hopes of life are past. I shall die laughing."
And I welcome the Valkyries to summon me home!
Finally, let us look to these chivalric knights as described in Arthurian literature. In Chrétien's Lancelot, a mysterious knight who could be understood as Death or as the king of the Celtic underworld, captures Guinevere and is holding her prisoner in the kingdom of Gore. I'm summarizing heavily here, but Lancelot sets out to free her, and in order to do so, must get into a cart driven by a dwarf. This is extremely shameful because the cart is used to parade criminals and degenerates through the streets, so Lancelot hesitates just a moment before getting in. When he eventually succeeds in freeing Guinevere, who is his lover, she is very angry with him and will not talk to him. He thinks this is because he got into the cart and brought shame upon himself, but she reveals that she is angry with him because he hesitated to get into the cart. Like Achilles, we see a man who cares deeply about honor, jeopardizing his life and his public image for the sake of personal loyalty and devotion, for the sake of love. However, in the later cycles of Arthurian literature, the ones written by priests, the knights are made to repent for their deeds of glory from the earlier cycles. Lancelot is condemned for the very love which was his highest virtue. The heroic ethic of the knights is replaced by a priestly one, in which the virtues of chastity, self-sacrifice, and humility are imposed on the characters, and the memory of their heroic, manly virtue is condemned. In modernity, the priestly type and their values have prevailed. These types live off of sick life in decline and decay. They need us to be sick. But Schwab and the rest of the managerial elite are not evil lizard people. We tell ourselves this to make ourselves feel better about our subjugation, but the elite are the same types as the desk nerds and Twitter warriors. They are the botched rebelling against life. This is in part what Nietzsche meant when he said we must go beyond good and evil. The best way to refute the priestly types of our age is not by fighting them on the battleground of morality, but by showing the world that they are sick, physically and spiritually, and that their so-called morals and all of their aims are a result of this sickness, a desperate grab at power. Morality and politics are simply masks. When they come to beat you over the head with their morals and rules, simply laugh and say, Hippocrates doesn't care. Make a mockery and a laughingstock of them. Expose their small, petty souls. And most importantly, shame them by example. Show them life in abundance. Show them the unconquerable, carefree, beauty and health of the free spirit. At the sight of this, they will tremble in fear. As you grow in power and strength, they will gather around you like flies and vultures, but pay no heed to them. Send them scurrying with the flick of your mane. Disregard their pestering, and let the men of the past serve as examples to live by. They will fill you with strength and courage, and perhaps, in time, Supermen will walk the earth again.